me, Vera, here to remind you that this is an adult podcast. That means we're going to deal with tough topics. Take a break if you need it, and be kind to yourself, because we sure won't be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition podcast. As always, I am your storyteller, Mike Martin, and today, joined only by Josh. Hey, Josh.
Oh, hi.
Oh, maybe, maybe not. Shaun's fate is entirely in your hands. This can go literally a million different directions. I have spent literal months mulling over what decisions you could make in the like. So I am literally prepared for anything. There's not a wrong decision here. I do not, like I said to you in the first episode, I don't want you to feel restricted in your decision making here. I don't want you to feel like you need to do something to follow a story. Don't worry about that. I've got it under control. That being said, there's still a lot we have to cover. We only got to cover the first day in episode 1. We've got about 7 or 8 months worth of history, maybe more, to cover through. And so the way we're going to do this, as we discussed, is we're going to be kind of just having some flash forward highlight conversations of who you're spending time with and what conversations you're having.
5-hour podcast. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Yep. Yeah. Listen, it could happen. It's very tempting. That being said, before we dive in, hey, thank you guys over at Patreon. You guys are the reason we get to keep doing this. So if you want to jump over and support us, head over to patreon.com/podbynight. You get some neat rewards. We've got a bunch of other new stuff now going up. We've got our after shows going up. There's all kinds of cool stuff that are popping up behind the scenes for the Patreon.
Art on the way. Yeah.
What was that?
There's art on the way as well.
Art on the way. We also have an updated relationship map for all the patrons to check out of how relationships will have changed over the course of season 2 to season 3. So lots of stuff to jump in and grab. And also, we now have merch.
Yeah.
And you can go to our Twitter, our social media, and head over to our link tree, and you can see all the links there. One heads over to our merch shop. We've got a poster of the entire coterie in the Succubus Club with the sign in the background. We've got mugs with Duke's mug on it. We've got mugs with Shaun's mug on it. There's just all kinds of stuff you can get over there. T-shirts, hoodies that say, "What's the Rumpus?" or Drac Pack. Yeah, there's a lot of cool shit over there. So
there's people in Drac Pack hoodies over on the Discord just looking top notch. They really do look dope. So
the merch
grab
looks
yourself a Drac
super
Pack
good.
hoodie.
Please do. And God knows, today may be the last episode of Shaun, so grab it while you can.
Limited edition.
No, Shaun merch will be up all season. Even if you die today, in memory of Shaun, he will be around all season in merch.
Make money off his corpse.
Exactly.
I'm here for it.
All right. I think that's it. I'm ready to dive in. So let's rein it in, bring things down, and see what Shaun has been up to. After that first day, first evening rather, Shaun spent with Father, having conversation, asking question after question, and getting answers to a certain degree and getting avoidant answers to others. The rest of the night goes by flawlessly, and you are put to rest until the sun rises. And the days will churn on. A typical day for Shaun here in upper state New York in this campground turned community is kind of whatever Shaun wants it to be. He's left with a lot of freedom as the sun sets. And in that freedom, he's welcome to wander the campgrounds, mingle with the others that seem to be spending their time here, or keep to himself, stay alone, and keep his own thoughts and his own mouth shut. But there is one thing that he can't avoid, at the very least for the first few weeks, is a daily walk with Father. So long as you're here, Father arrives almost at sundown, like on the dot, if not shortly thereafter, asking if you'd like to join him for an evening stroll. He seems to go on these strolls on his own, whether you agree or disagree, but he always invites you. You are always welcome to turn them down, and I'd be curious if Shaun did, at least in the beginning.
I think early on, Shaun turns one down just to know what happens. But
And as Shaun turns, and as Shaun turns down an evening walk, the father simply smiles and nods and wishes that you have a great evening. And should you need anything, don't be afraid to reach out. He leaves you alone to your own devices. Perhaps surprisingly, perhaps unsurprisingly. I'm not quite sure where Shaun's where his head is this early on. We're talking the first week of being here.
Yeah, Shaun isn't really a position to be surprised or not. He is just like feeling out everything, just very, very tentatively, because he still has it in the back of his head that he's going to get killed.
Absolutely, and that's probably a very normal thought for Shaun to have in this moment. My other question to Shaun would be, would you be watching that tape, that VHS tape, after that first day?
Oh yeah, he's going to take a couple of other opportunities to rewatch it, like pause at some point, like scooch it forward every now and again and try and get those goddamn VHS scan lines out of the way so he can see like specific parts of it, like see... He doesn't know what to think of it. So,
you are welcome to roll me a wits investigation check to represent, we'll say, multiple nights of you pausing, maybe taking notes down or mental notes and just analyzing as much as you can. Is this really me?
Do I have an investigation specialty? I do not.
Do you?
Oh, I don't have any dots in investigation, so I don't have.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not great.
I got a.
You bestial failed, if I am correct in reading this?
Yeah, that's what that looks like, isn't it? Yeah.
That does look like a bestial failure. And it's frustrating because this tape infuriates you. The more you watch it, the more you're hoping you're going to find something, a glitch or something to point towards CGI of the early 90s or something to direct your attention to finally have that eureka moment where Shaun can swallow all of this, feel relief, and realize this is fake. But no matter what Shaun does, what scene he pauses on, whether the scan lines are there or not, Shaun every night without fail is unable to walk away with tangential evidence that this is faked in some way. Even to the weirdest dents in your ear or the strangest bumps in your hair, it all seems to be you.
Yeah.
And maybe after 4 nights of consistently boring through this VHS footage, it's only a couple minutes long, over and over again, that frustration boils over. And we see Shaun stand up, pace a couple of times, look at his notes, maybe even kick the notebook across the room before walking over to the VHS and literally ripping the VHS out of the tape. The tape itself spooling out of the back of the VHS and now kind of strewn across the floor as it reaches the end of its rope. And either Shaun has the decision to either he can rip it and just tear free the tape or let it go and drop it. What would Shaun do in that moment?
He's going to tear it up.
So
Like,
in that last one, he just kind of yanks it extremely hard.
Yeah.
You hear the tape snap free from the VHS. And as it does so, you stumble back a couple of steps with this now empty VHS tape in your hand as the rest of the film is stuck and spooling out of the VHS player across the room.
I think at that point he calms down, but like in his mind now that he's seen it so many times, this is kind of like a brainworm worked its way. It feels real in his mind, whether or not he can't tell whether or not it's fake or made up or whatever, but it's just stuck in his brain now. And yeah, it feels like it was real to him.
And as you're holding the empty tape in your hand and maybe you're looking up at the ceiling in frustration, there's a gentle at the door.
Who's there?
Yeah, it's me, kid. Larson's voice echoes through the door.
What do you want?
I heard a commotion. Can I come in?
No.
Fair enough. Everything good in there then?
I chuck the remains of the VHS tape at him. You know what that is?
As you hurl it and it hits the ground, he stops it with his foot. Yeah, I've seen it a couple times.
When'd you see it?
A couple years back now. Didn't really know what to make of it. Not sure what. Well, and he looks to the tape and back at the mess behind you. I clearly can tell what you make of it.
Then you're gonna have to tell me, because I've no fucking clue.
You. Do you buy it?
I don't know. But it's about as real as anything else here. I can see it when I close my eyes, Larson.
Sound like a toreador.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Is there anything to talk about?
Well, you're here, aren't you? It's been about a week. How are you feeling?
It's a nice enough place.
About
Everyone's
right.
pretty friendly. That guy, Pat?
Yeah, Pat.
He seems nice.
He's a good guy. I think it's a general consensus about most of the people here. They're all fine individuals. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking how you're doing.
I'm waiting for something. I don't know. Like, if you're gonna kill me, get it over with. Like,
I have no desire to put you down. There's no ill will, I suppose, from me to you, at the very least. I understand where you're coming from. I don't need you to tell me how much you loathe me. I get it. This has not been a very straightforward process to get you here. But if I didn't believe in it, I guess I wouldn't be here either, huh?
and what do you believe?
It's a tough question. I believe that the system in place now is rotten to the core. And I think it needs to go. If you're going to ask me if you think this is the right way to do it, I've been looking for the right way to do it for a long time and have been unable to come up with anything. Father's the only one who's presented something, at least some we can enact on. And we see eye to eye, at least for most things. But doesn't mean I agree with everything he does. I don't think he agrees with everything I do. If past conversations between us indicate that. But for now, we help each other out.
One big happy family.
That's what he'd like anyway.
Well, I've been here a week. I've seen everyone. Am I going to be allowed to see the outside anytime soon?
You mean back to the city?
Just outside the grounds.
I mean, you're always welcome to go, but not without an escort. You're welcome to go. Don't get me wrong. But it kind of has to be made clear that you're leaving. We wouldn't want you to walk out and then suddenly disappear. Anybody could have gotten you. We're in the middle of the woods. God knows if any lupines are even out here. God forbid. Has he told you why you're here yet? I mean, obviously, decide what's on the tape.
Something about me being the chosen one, and I have to kill everyone in the city, and I'm just going to watch his face just crease up.
Yeah, it continually becomes more confused and surprised. I know he's a man who enjoys flowery language, but are you sure that's what he was saying?
His words, not mine. He never told you you're chosen one? Sucks to be you.
No, never so lucky. But then again, I don't have a VHS tape with me on it.
We can teleport to the 90s and get you one. It's real easy.
He just gives you a shit-eating grin. Well, maybe in due time you'll have that conversation with him if you stick around. Are you sticking around, or you do plan on heading out of here?
Where the fuck else would I go, Larson?
Back to New York?
Get my head cut off by whoever the fuck's running the show around there. Nah, I'm alright.
You could always leave the state. Head north. Head south. You have the gift of daylight, being able to bear daylight for a little while at least. Traveling's not that big of an issue for you.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know the geography that well. So if I go north, I go to Canada. But south, I know we're in New York State. That's about it.
Either way, you could probably make your way out of here. I guess I'm just curious what's keeping you around other than feeling like you're stuck. For what it's worth, you've always been difficult to read.
Cool.
So that's it then.
I'm here because I've got nowhere else to go. And I need to figure out a place I belong.
I guess that's where I sit and become frustrated. It's not about finding a place you belong, kiddo. About making the place you are the place you belong. If you keep looking for somewhere to slot yourself into, you're never going to find your home. That's not how the world works. So if that's what you're hoping for, I just think you're going to be left disappointed, but we just want to make New York our home, where we all can coexist. No hierarchy. Now, do I think his way is the right way? He, at that, Larson literally just shrugs. I don't know, but it's the only way that's actually made any dent or progress so far.
That's the second time you've said that, mate. You don't think it's the right way? Like, he told me. He's not a thin blood. Like, sure, he's invested. We still have the power here. We've still got ourselves. Daylight. We've got... I mean, I'm not going to say we don't need him, but like... If you don't... You're saying make the place you want to belong. I can't imagine being anywhere better than surrounded by people that know how hard it is to lose everything and how hard it is to have people that want to see you fail take things away from you. Larson, you keep saying you don't know, but I think you do. So as thin bloods, we've got to stick the fuck together, because otherwise we'll just bounce from one prick to another.
You very clearly choose on your words. Yeah, we should talk later. Maybe another night. Maybe I can see if I can go on a walk with you outside these walls and get you that fresh air you're looking for, huh?
Yep. That would be That'd be pretty neat.
Have a good rest of your night. And he smiles very pleasantly before he walks out the front door and shuts it behind you. You watch him through the windows as he disappears into the trail and joins the central community. You don't see Larson again for a little while. You hear that he heads back into New York a couple days later, and you're left back to a normal daily routine. You spend a lot of time with Pat. He seems to find your company enjoyable. He has so many questions about what it's like in England. So many of your use of slang terms confuse him, excite him, make him giggle. He thoroughly enjoys just kind of picking at your brain a little bit, wondering what it's like. You learn that he is indeed a mortal, Pat. He is not a thin blood. However, he knows of your existences. He knows how it all works because his sister is one, and she lives here, and she brought him here because to him you'll learn that she taught through him you learn that she believed them to be in danger, and the only safety outside of New York was out to the north, and they ended up here. He has a good time. Other than that, he's kind of got a boring past, typical childhood, schooling, and then early job before he ended up being out here. But he finds the world out here fascinating. He's so intrigued that you guys actually exist, and he has so many questions about how it all works. And a lot of them, Shaun himself can't really answer, as it becomes more apparent to Shaun the more time he spends with these people, how little he actually knows about kindred, and even to the point of thin bloods or duskborn lifestyle. You know just enough to have gotten you through Camarilla life, but everything else is very clearly kept away from you. About 2 months into living here, after having varying walks with others and discussions with others, on this particular morning, as the door knocks as the sun sets and Father stands in the doorway, instead of asking you if you'd like to go for a walk, he says, "Shaun, my boy, I have something extremely exciting to show you. Would you mind joining me?"
I didn't get enough sleep last night, and no, there. Let's go.
Okay. He very clearly was patiently waiting for you to be done, as he's kind of gotten a little used to your antics at this point. Mm-hmm. And as you walk out the front door, he puts his hand on your shoulder and squeezes it. And he's like, "You know how early on, a couple months ago, when you first got here, I was talking about just what your kind is capable of. The thin blood's ability to work with Vitae in ways that I've never really seen before."
Yeah. Well, did I ever show you some of the things I can do?
He thinks for a minute. I don't actually think you have. However, I would love to see it, maybe even this evening, because a few of the thin bloods here who have been sharing notes and kind of working on their own have come across a really fascinating new use of thin blood. They call it alchemy, thin blood alchemy.
Yeah, homebrew.
Sure. This way, and he leads you to the main commune area. He walks you past a few buildings until you're on the westmost side of the commune, and there's a small, kind of long log cabin-like building. He hurries up the upstairs, and there's this flowery wreath that hangs off the wooden door that's been freshly coated in a brand new coat of paint. And he reaches over, pulls the handle, and swings it open. And on the inside, you actually see 5 others, 3 females and 2 males, all around maybe their mid-30s to their 20s. 2 of them are standing while 3 others are sitting with their legs crossed, with the one notebook open for each of them, as they are very excitedly talking over one another. They don't even realize that the door opens here. And they continue kind of just chattering amongst themselves. And the first thing you hear is a shrill young girl's voice kind of speak up over the loudness and say, No. I actually had it happen. I think we can bottle it. That's the wrong word. I think we can actually contain it. We can contain it in some way. And there's a multitude of uses for this. And the one of the younger boys also cheers up. He's like, yeah. Hang on. I just need to make sure we actually line this. We prepare this properly.
All right, mates. Father, what's the rumpus?
As Shaun steps in, Father actually stepped off to the side and quietly leaned against a wall, crossing his arms, intent to listen. But Shaun, immediately drawing attention with what's the rumpus, their conversation mostly cut short. And as they turn, There's a brief confused look as they first meet your eyes, but once they realize Father is right next to you, their confusion kind of melts away to excitement all over again. Father just kind of gives a nod, like to continue, and then they look over to you and is like, yeah, Shaun, hi, name's Julia, and she kind of just waves at you. And she looks to Father with a confused look, and he simply just nods again, and she looks back to you. Thin-blood, right?
Yeah, so they keep telling me. Julia,
Okay,
I'm assuming you're also of the thinner persuasion?
She does a giant circular motion with her index finger, pointing at everybody. All of us here are.
Well, that's pretty cool. I've never really had any mates that are of the same clan.
She kind of gives a nod. She's like, I guess we're a clan, huh? I never really even thought about it. It doesn't ever really come up out here.
Yeah.
But I guess that's very true. Anyway, are you one of our kind that is injured by sunlight? Does sunlight bother you at all?
I'll be real honest. It gets a bit itchy and sweaty. You know, when you're like sat down, like swamp ass. It's like that. But that's the worst it gets.
She's like, okay, so you should be all right. We should all be fine. Father, you might wanna. And he just kind of smiles and he leaves through the front door. She's like, this is extremely exciting. So only those of us who can stand in the sun can do this. And from my understanding, I had to stand in the sunlight for a rather long time today. But I want you all to experience this, because if this is something we can pass on to others, then we may have a new technique on our hands for self-defense.
Well, you're
you
solar panel
laugh,
now.
and she looks over to you as the smile fades from her lips. What? What's so funny?
I was just asking, you a solar panel? Like, you charging up? What is it? Electric shock?
Yeah. She's like, just hold on a moment. And she gestures for you to take a seat, and she stands in the center of the circle. Do you sit or do you stand?
Is everyone else sitting?
Everybody is now, the other person who is standing is clearly going to take a seat now.
Okay, yeah, he's gonna join the others and sit.
As Shaun sits down, she readily points to the person who was standing up prior. She's like, no, I need you to stand. And the guy stands up. She looks to you, she's like, this is Kevin, by the way, just in case you haven't met before. And Kevin gives a quick wave as his very bleach blonde hair and his shaggy kind of light beard dominate his facial features. But he looks back over to her and he's like, okay, I'm going to have to touch you. This is going to be uncomfortable, maybe even painful. But if we can figure this out, if this works, and we can pass this knowledge around, this could be great. This could be so helpful. Okay. And that's when she pulls from the back of her jean shorts a large knife. It's long and wide, clearly a butcher's knife, probably pulled from the kitchen of the campground. And she looks back to the other three sitting, including you. She's like, just scoot back a couple inches just to be safe. And without much time given to you, she pulls the knife up and slashes a large gash on her palm. As the wound opens, Shaun, you watch as blood pours forth slowly. But it becomes evident that the blood never leaves her palm. It sticks to her hand and begins to drip in a way that defies gravity. And soon that drip becomes a pour as a large stream of liquid blood pours forth from her wound and covers her entire body in the matter of seconds, stuck to her like a thick membrane. But before you can even really ingest that, it begins to burn away. You watch as that blood stuck to her turns black and orange, and the smoldering smoke peers forth from the cracks in which the membrane is touching her skin. She collapses ever so briefly, screaming, as she takes a couple of steps forward, and she reaches out with both of her hands and grabs the cheeks of the man she told to stand, Kevin. And as she does so, smoke billows forth from his cheeks as his eyes widen, and he too lets out, oh, fuck! And that burn crawls under his eyes. You watch his skin crack and flake away, bits and pieces of it ashing before your very eyes, before her short screams and his become one, and she peels her hands back, pieces of his skin peeling and stuck to her fingertips as she does so. The orange and blackish glow and dried mucus crisps and chips away off of her body, leaving only the open wounds of a clearly burned individual underneath where the blood once covered. She takes a deep breath as she stumbles back and catches herself on a nearby wall, as Kevin himself brings his hands up to his face, covering his face in pain, before he shies away and moves over to a corner, swearing and muttering to himself in a loud enough tone that you can clearly hear he's distraught. The other three who are sitting around are kind of going back and forth and looking confused before anything seems to happen. How does Shaun react?
Shaun's gonna stand up and guide Julia back to sitting with the others, and then he's gonna go over to Kevin.
Julia doesn't really resist all that much. As you place your arm under hers and guide her back, she's still kind of there. The pain is evident, but she was expecting it. She knew it was coming, and so she hobbles back with you and sits down. But as you go near Kevin, after you get to about a foot away from him, he just kind of swings his hand behind him and ushers you away. He's like, no, fucking just leave me alone. Fuck, just leave me alone.
You're gonna look like a slapped ass. Come on. And Shaun starts looking around. This is where they do their thin blood alchemy, right?
Shaun kind of takes it in, it's more or less a rather bare bones building, with the exception of very clearly ripped pieces of notebook paper with scrawls and symbols and alchemical equations kind of haphazardly strewn about the floors.
So there's no errant medical equipment around here?
No, not immediately, no.
Okay.
But
yeah,
there was one on the outside wall, like most campgrounds. On the outside of the building is a first aid medical kit that was kind of just stuck to the wall.
Shaun's gonna quickly burst out of this place and yank that off the wall and take it out and start wrapping a piece of cotton around some calipers and start applying.
Yeah, give me a first aid check, sir.
Some stuff. Yeah, what would that be?
That would be medical and medicine intelligence.
Medicine intelligence.
Who do you just go to Julia first, I imagine?
Yeah. Because I need to give Kevin a moment to cool off because he's angry.
They both took aggravated damage, so they're not in great spots.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to heal them, but I'm going to make them more comfortable.
Yeah, you're going to try and comfort them up.
I got one success.
A success. You do the best you can. Shaun only has ever really had to do two kinds of medical attention. One for his coterie, who are full-blooded kindred, who don't really need medical attention except for the occasional extra blood sip from something. Or your drunky friends, which is don't go to a hospital, do what you can on the streets and hope it gets better in the morning. And that's the kind of attention you're giving to her right now, quickly wrapping the wounds with bandages, trying to use antiseptic if that matters on a thin blood. You're still not entirely sure. It seems like certain thin bloods are different than others. That's something else that Shaun has obviously learned in his time here, is that no two thin bloods seem to be exactly the same in terms of their weaknesses and abilities. As you hurriedly start applying first aid, Father strolls back in toward the front door. You hear him curiously kind of pipe up as you're healing. Did I see a rather bright burst of light peering through the windows there for a moment? And Julia, before Shaun can even say anything, says, yeah, it actually worked. It actually goddamn worked. And any pain she has that you're tending to is melted away by pure excitement. Does Shaun say anything, or is he kind of just standing by and listening?
Yeah, it works. But look at your fucking hands.
Yeah. No, it's certainly not. It's not perfect. But I don't know if I can really make it work any other way. For lack of a better way to describe it, I was able to store sunlight in my blood. I was actually able to, It's too complicated to explain in the matter of a few minutes, but that's the gist of it. I could put sunlight in my blood and unleash it like if somebody was to come at me with like a dagger or a stake, God forbid someone try to take my head off. It's not going to be pleasant. It's going to hurt both me and that person, but it could give me the opportunity to get away, especially if they're not expecting it. And she kind of gives a lazy gesture to Kevin. And sorry about that, Kevin. I know I told you it was going to hurt, but I kind of kept you in the dark. I just wasn't sure. Kevin you see him throw up a middle finger. But it worked. Holy fucking shit, it worked. After over a year of trying. Wow. You were right. And she gestures to Father. We're capable of so much more than we were ever allowed to try. If we had ever pushed to, I can't imagine how quickly the Camarilla would have taken my head off if they heard I was messing with this kind of thing. And as you laugh, one of the other women in the circle, she says, yeah, honestly, same thing for the Anarchs. They would have probably expelled me or something.
Sounds about right.
She looks to you as Shaun kind of mumbles that, are you an ex-Anarch?
Sort of ex-Cam. He shows the scar.
Yeah, as she shakes her head. I heard that they did that, sons of bitches.
Yeah, didn't hurt as much as that did, though. Or it looked like it did, you know.
Julia gives you a gentle, if breathy giggle. I am surprised and impressed with myself, I guess. I'm just at a loss for words, and I'm sorry if that might... I know I didn't give any of you really, like, especially you, Shaun. Is it, Shaun? I didn't give you much of a heads up. Oh, she kind of reaches her hands behind her head. I'm so tired, but... Oh, damn.
Shaun claps her on the back and is like...
She winces when you do so.
Oh, shit, sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's really damn impressive, mate.
I know I should be... Maybe there's a part of me that should be, like, satisfied, but all it does is make me curious. Like, what else, like, not just like, what else can we do, you know? Like, what are the limits of a Thin Blood's capabilities? What can we do?
We can do anything.
I thought...
Haven't you heard?
I don't know about that, but I don't know. I'm just happy, and thank you for witnessing it, I guess, Shaun. Yeah. You've been here for a couple months now, right? How come I haven't seen you at any of these alchemy circles?
Oh, Father trying to keep a close eye on me, I guess. Doesn't want me giving away all my secrets.
Yeah, I know he can be like that. She looks past you. Would you mind if he joined us occasionally? And Father simply shakes his head. That's half the reason I brought him tonight. I wanted to see what you guys were capable of. I wasn't quite sure what you were doing tonight, but I'm glad I came. I just had heard there might be an exciting new turn of events. And he just kind of gives a gentle clap. Congratulations, by the way. I would be lying if I didn't admit that I was a little bit jealous.
Yeah.
No matter how hard us full-bloods try, we can't do anything quite like that.
I guess you're not that keen to see sunlight again.
No, not. I would prefer not to, ideally. It's not exactly the most pleasant feeling on one's skin when you reach my age.
Don't blame me.
Well, Shaun, would you have interest in joining them? Not tonight, obviously. I have other things I'd like to show you tonight, but would you have interest in joining them in the future sometime?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got something I can add.
I don't doubt it at all. The rest of them all smile. It's like, well, I hope you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to steal Shaun for a moment. There's somebody here who's been looking to speak with him for quite a while, and I think Shaun's going to be excited to see him. The others just kind of nod and give a wave. Even Kevin, in his grumpy attitude, when Father says goodbye, he makes an effort to wave politely as well. And he just kind of ushers you, Shaun, to follow him as he walks his way out the front door.
Shaun comes with him.
I kind of wanted to, well, I mean, I'm not kidding. I wasn't lying. I did want you to meet the Thin Blood Circle, the Alchemist Circle. This is the building they typically meet in. But I needed to steal you away from your room for a minute as somebody arrived. Come on.
Oh,
I'm excited for you.
Cool.
He walks you back down the path, back to your particularly personal building, tucked away in the back end of the encampment. As you approach the front door, you can see a little bit of light spilling out from underneath it. And as you walk up, Father steps in front of you, stopping you briefly and gives a knock. There's a unlocking sound from the other side of the door, and as the door opens, the viewer first hears a very familiar song. One we heard early in the first season that accompanied a very particular somebody. The bi-colored hair, the cat headphones, little pleather skirt, and short tank top. Mia stands in the center of the room. Father doesn't step inside. He steps aside and reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small knife. He opens his palm and offers it to you, Shaun.
Shaun takes the knife.
He just kind of pats your back and says very plainly, I'll see you tomorrow night, eh?
See you later.
Gives you another pat, and with heavy steps down the stairs under the creaking wood, makes his way away. Mia stands before you, her lips still sewn shut, with her big, beautiful eyes looking at you.
Shaun's gonna go right up to her, put his hand on her shoulder, and he's gonna cut the stitches.
And effortlessly you do so. You step forward and you place your hand on her shoulder, and it looks like she goes in for a hug for a minute, but you stop her quickly as you without even a hesitation, bring the knife up, place it under the stitches, and with a little resistance you feel that first snap. And you're able to snap every string away as her mouth opens now for a second time before you, and she simply lets out a long breath. Hey.
Hello yourself.
It's really good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
She pulls her headphones off of her head, and she places them around your neck.
I think they suit you a little bit better, but thanks.
She just smiles, and she gestures to sit as she goes to sit on the bed.
Mia. He sits down next to her. I remember doing a lot of stupid stuff when we first met. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was fun but scary, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like what Larson did to you.
She shakes her head. He didn't do it on purpose.
I think you know him a little bit better than that.
It was his only choice at the time. But that's the past. It doesn't matter anymore. You're here.
Yeah. How have you been? I don't know what to say in these situations. This is new.
There's so much I want to say, and I don't even know where to begin either. I'm at a loss, and she reaches her hand forward to just touch your face.
Yeah, he puts his hand on hers.
You're actually here.
Yeah.
I just... You had me watch you for such a long time.
How come?
You were important.
And you weren't? I've seen what you can do, and obviously you're pretty cool, so...
I am. My time has come and gone, at least for now. I helped him establish himself here.
No, you're talking about father.
Yeah, who are you talking about?
Doesn't matter.
Larson? Larson made his decision. And I made mine.
What's your decision?
You.
That's...
She does not smile at that at all.
I guess that was supposed to be flattering, but...
He can't hear us while I'm in here. We can talk.
Okay, what do you need?
You. I'm sorry, I know that's weird. He trusted me to find somebody. And I found you. And I thought... Initially, I think you were the right choice. I thought. The longer I watched you and got to know you, the more I think you're not just the right choice. You're the next step. I appreciate everything he's done. And if he's the only one here who can do it, then I will help him. But I think you're the one that should do it. I've seen the tape. Before you even have to say anything, I've seen the tape. I don't know if it's a possible outcome or just something else, but... Listen, if you don't do what's on that tape, he's just gonna keep doing what he's been doing.
I'm not known for my intellect.
She shakes her head. You're a liar.
I'm known for being a little bit, but
Listen, Shaun.
I need you to be less cryptic.
I haven't told him everything, okay?
Can you tell me everything?
He doesn't know that the prince is still alive. He thinks I finished it. Hidden. It's the one thing I can have over him if everything goes to hell. If he tries to backstab me, I can always let her go, free her, wake her up, or I can finish the job. I'm not trying to say this to hold something over him. He's done everything he can. And I truly actually believe him that you are the next step. But I think he underestimates you in particular, Shaun, which is why it has to be you. I think he has assumptions that are not true. I think he expects things to go a certain way. If you take him down, everybody here follows you. Everybody here is waiting for you to do that. They all know. And if you don't, and you leave, I can't promise you that they're not going to try and kill you at some point. Not him, not Father, but them. They're not allowed to say anything to you. You're supposed to come to your own conclusion, but they're willing to die for you. They're willing to follow you. Father's compassionate, but only to a point. You have an understanding of what it's like to live this dual life as a Duskborn. To lead these people into a better existence. I want you to take him out. And then you can move in on the Camarilla under your own terms.
I was really scared of what was going to come out of your mouth.
Are you still?
Not as much. Where does that leave you?
Shaun?
I don't want you to... Clearly you're not thin blood.
No, I'm not. And then when you have a spot, we can discuss the next steps, but if you remove him...
Look, I think you understand better than most being under the thumb of people who can find a use for you. I think it's time to find somewhere that's a little bit more friendly.
No, Shaun, no. I'm not leaving the cause. I refuse to leave the cause. I just think you would be better suited to head the cause. Listen. Shaun, if you don't do it, I'll kill her.
If you don't... What? You're gonna... But he's...
If you're not going to do it, I will secure his position, and I'll finish the job and end the prince's life. There's no other way. You'll be fine. I'm not going to hurt you, and he won't hurt you either. But I'll have no need for it anymore. And it'll continue to further the downfall of the Camarilla anyway.
Right. Makes this way easier then.
You already know?
I'm here for the Thin Bloods. Mia, I really wanted to see you. Really wanted to see you, but I'm here for the Thin Bloods.
They're yours to have if you choose it.
What happens next then?
If you decide, I'll go get him. He is ready. But he underestimates you, and that's why he doesn't belong at the top. You can't claim to care about Thin Bloods when you still look at them as second-class citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's what I was thinking.
Me too. What are you saying?
Bring him in.
She looks, all the tension in her back and her chest releases as she kind of lets out a sigh and leans on her own legs for a minute. Oh my God. And she just turns to you and gives you a huge hug. She gets up and she scurries out. You're left alone for approximately 15 minutes before the door opens. Mia walks in with Father in tow. Father simply takes command of the situation. Mia says you've come to a decision. Less than a year, and you've already decided. I am impressed, but not surprised.
I am... finally kind of decided where I want to be.
And where is that?
I want to be at the head of the Thin Bloods.
He nods. He steps forward and walks his way up to you and places a hand on your shoulder. If it is his will and this is your decision, I am not going to stand in the way. I wish not to be beaten, if that is to be my fate, if I don't comply. You understand what you're doing, however. You will no longer be a Thin Blood. However, the Thin Bloods will have your respect, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll miss it, but yeah.
And that I have respect for you. You know what you're giving up, but you're doing it to further those who are stuck like you, their cause. I am impressed Shaun. Mia was right to choose you. And he looks back to her with a smile as she smiles back. With that, he unbuttons his jacket, tosses it on a nearby bed, pulls his shirt over his shoulders and tosses it nearby, before taking a single knee before you and craning his neck.
Shaun steps up and sinks his fangs in.
As you slake the blood and you drain what you can from him, as you reach that fifth point, there's probably that thought in Shaun's mind like, wait, this could go wrong. How am I going to make this work? But as you pull that last drop of blood from him and hope to see him hit the ground, you watch as you pull your teeth for a brief moment, and you actually watch his eyes snap wide open, his teeth bare. And as he's about to fall to the ground, you're still holding on to him. All right, we need to make a couple of checks here. What would be your first reaction? We're going to need initiatives as well.
Oof.
Well, actually, no, it's what are you doing? Once you realize he doesn't go incapacitated, what would Shaun's reaction be? You could, because here's what you can do. I'll give Shaun some options here. Because you're going to realize he's not incapacitated when you draw that last drop. Shaun has basically like a couple of options here. He can attempt to finish the job and just like, hopefully that'll stop him from hunger frenzying, which is very possible it will. You could make an attempt to hold him down, grapple him, though you don't know the kind of strength this guy has. You could also just let him go and back up and maybe buy yourself some space. Or you can try and do you have a weapon on? No, you wouldn't have a weapon on you. They took all that shit off of you when I entered in here.
Knife.
But you could try and splinter something off of something, but it would probably take a round to find something. You have a few options here. You don't know what Mia's going to do because this is all happening in a brief moment.
I can have a weapon handy. Can I use far reach? Oh yeah, I definitely need space from someone that's about to tear my throat out or whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking yeet this guy.
Okay, I need your resolve in your alchemy versus his strength athletics.
Okay. I'll do that rouse check. Where's the rouse check
This is
button?
gonna be funny.
I guess 1 dice.
That's my
Is
roll.
there a rouse check button? I'll just roll
Not
1
a terrible
dice.
roll, not an amazing roll, but not a terrible roll. All right, your hunger goes up by 1.
So that's 4.
You got 4 successes. That's really good. What do we see? How does it look when Shaun pulls his power off? When he reaches to send him back at least like a couple meters or what have you?
Shaun realizes in the moment that he's made a mistake and just kind of flicks his arm up, and you just see the air ripple in front of it and like impact into this guy's chest.
And you actually watch, since his shirt has been removed, you watch his chest kind of cave in very briefly as his skin also ripples. He's actually sent back a couple of, I'll say got sent back a foot, as he's able to really maintain his ground as you kind of send him back. And he looks ravenous. However, before he gets to go, Mia is going to try to do something too.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, things are getting a little dangerous, aren't they?
Oh no. Our table.
Okay, so she's going to make a roll versus him. Oh, God. Okay. You watch for a brief minute as past him, you can see Mia in the corner and her eyes are wide, clearly for a moment confused and then immediately into panic as she realizes what's happening. She brings her hand up and she tears open with just her nails her wrist down her forearm, and she attempts to say words that you don't really understand nor can claim any meaning from. And as she reaches forward, there's a moment where you actually watch a drop of blood eke out the side of his lips and fly backward behind him, and he watches it go by as it collides with her palm, and you watch that single point of blood sink into her palm, and she looks up in fear as she realizes his ire is on her. He leaps forward. She tried to extinguish Vitae. Did not.
Yeah, that would have been really useful.
It would have been excellent. She rolled her dice pool, but I rolled 3 10s.
Oh.
What can I do, man? 3 10s. Like, that's such a crazy high roll.
Yep.
And he's just going to make an attack on her. You watch as he takes 2 very quick steps forward before he pounces on top of her, pinning her against the wall. Yes?
I am trying to hold him with far reach.
I thought you tried to push him back with far reach.
Oh, I guess, yeah, that is a different thing from throwing them.
Yeah. You can't really pin him so much. You have that smoke ability that might be able to pin him, I think. I'd have to double check that weird smoke ability.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Regardless, he technically resisted your ability either way.
Uh-huh.
You just had gotten, it wasn't by a huge margin, so you actually pushed him back a little bit.
Nice.
But he leaps onto her. You watch as his hands rip at her hair, grabbing both of the sides of the pink and blue hair, tightly in hair, kind of spewing between his fingers. He slams her up against the wall, and she lets out a short squeal before his teeth sink into her neck. That's going to be the round. He's draining her.
Uh-oh. I am gonna have to fucking stake him. Something like that, right?
You're gonna try, yeah. You could. You're gonna need to. You don't have anything wooden on you immediately, but this building is made of wood. So reaching for like a loose 2x4 and making a strength athletics to tear it off the wall very quickly would be your best bet.
Yep. Let's go for that.
Okay. We watch Shaun rather as Mia immediately gets pinned and her scream goes silent as he runs over to a nearby wall where a loose 2x4 has maybe an inch of it popping out from the wall. You jam your fingers around it, and with one quick tug, you hear a loud snap, and you have this snapped in half 2x4 with sharp-ish edges where the wood snapped. Trying now with the attempt to go and jam him in the back, hoping to hit him. trying to stop a hunger frenzying full blood is very, very fucking difficult.
Oh,
And now you don't know how if he even has a point of hunger in him or not, you know? Okay. You want to make that roll or no?
yeah, I'm gonna rouse check because I need the extra dice.
Okay.
And I still don't know. 4 successes. Oh.
I love you, but you're going to hate me, bro.
Ugh.
I rolled 2 successes on my defense, followed by the 2 successes of removal from just it being a called shot. And so, as you run up and try to just jam this thing in, you pierce skin, sure, but you can't get past the ribs. You can't weasel it in well enough. It's not enough to get to the heart. And you simply just kind of bash it, bash it, bash it. So you do a point of damage to him. However, you are not able to pierce through. The next turn rounds again, and you watch as Mia clearly falls into an unconscious or a torpid state. And just barely, where we watch as Shaun is able to sink his teeth as you climb up. Where do you bite him? Where do you look to bite him?
Oh, I'm biting him on the other side of his neck.
Yeah, you're going to the
time.
other side. You bare your fangs as you scramble, and we see scratch marks as Shaun just kind of leaps onto him and just does his best to hold on. And as you open your mouth, you're able to sink your claws into his neck, and you can feel the warm vitae immediately hit your mouth. You do 2 aggravated damage to him, which brings him to 4. However, his attention is now going to be on the person who decided to jump on him, and I'm going to need an opposed strength brawl check from you.
Ugh. Okay.
As you sink your teeth into him, he immediately lets go. You feel him reach around with both of his arms on both sides, and you actually hear what sounds like bones snapping as his arms kind of come out of place, reach fully around in a way that they should not be able to, grab you and twist you to the side as his left arm seems to move and bend in inhuman ways as you're thrown across the entirety of the room,
A good chunk of his neck is coming with me, though. I am not letting go.
And as you're thrown from his arms and you careen, you actually can see a small trail of blood when our vision kind of goes into slow-mo as Shaun is only halfway across the room, his mouth open with clear chunks of skin hooked onto his fangs and droplets of blood trailing through the sky from Shaun's mouth to the now ripped open wound as Father, completely bearing his entirety of his aggression against you, faces you. There's a moment where you look like he's about to step forward, and he's about to rip you perhaps apart, as you, by the way, take 3 damage from being hurled across. Which, because you take damage like a mortal, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, you feel a bone break as you collide with the wall. You're going to take 2 regular and 1 aggravated instead of just 3 regular.
Gotcha.
And he takes a step forward, and you watch him stop. His ferocious, almost feral-like features glowering down on you as you kind of slide to the ground, as he closes his mouth for a minute. And he seems to, for lack of a better word, regain control. His breathing becomes intense, and he stops. Shaun, I understand why. I understand your doubts. But the beast writhes within. I can't hold him back any longer. This is your decision now. You die here or you finish your destiny. You will not succeed in this battle. I promise.
Shaun spits out part of his neck. And is about to do something stupid again.
Okay. What do you do?
He puts his elbow through the window and shouts, "Thin Bloods! Fucking get to it!"
Thin Bloods get to it, and your hope is what
Help
to
me!
help. Understood. Shaun, the window shatters, and out into the woods, you can hear it echo throughout as silence. Actually, no, you're too paranoid. I'm not gonna make you make a roll. As you shout into the woods, your voice echoes through the trees. There's a few moments as you're panicking, hoping to see, and you actually do see a couple people poking their heads out, looking through. A few people begin to mill through the woods, and then you start to see them all making their way there. Father braces himself for a moment, and he looks to you. You don't know what you're doing, kid. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to free your people. It requires sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But Thin Bloods won't be freed by anyone but themselves.
He takes a very heavy step forward. You watch his fists clench as he cracks his neck to the side. And soon you actually hear muttering outside. What the hell's going on in there? Hello? Hey, hello, what's going on? Hey, did you see anything? No, I didn't see anything. I heard a scream. Hello? The window's broken. Guys, the window's broken. And the voices get closer. And you see a small crowd of people filling on the outside of the window. What the hell's going on in there? Are you all right? And the only person that you can see a single face that you recognize, though you don't know a name that belongs to it. It's a middle-aged gentleman. And he looks up and through. And then as you lock eyes with him, he looks back to you. And you see a huge smile across his face. Guys, it's happening. It's happening just like on the tape. It's happening like on the tape. And you hear a ton of people begin to excitedly chatter. And you can hear Father just... And now Thin Bloods begin to fill. It's time. It's finally time. And they seem to just stand outside the building like a movie theater crowd. Shaun, what do you do? As perhaps some realizations are beginning to click into place.
I beckon them over. I bring them, like, as many of them inside as possible.
As you open the door, they refuse to step inside. We dare not step onto sacred ground. The prophecy must continue. And then there's somebody at elbows. Look, Father's all beat up too. It's just as the tape told. Oh, I can't believe we get to witness this. I can't believe this. Father takes another heavy step forward. Are you going to disappoint them, boy?
Shit.
Little does Shaun realize, in a really roundabout way, he's made the tape come true. Father looks back, looks to you, looks down at himself with the blood pouring down him. Perhaps this was what it was supposed to be. They are here to watch, and if you don't complete what they expect, and you end me here, they're going to end you too. He falls to a single knee. And you watch as what is seemingly the scene from the VHS begin to take place. If Shaun took a minute to look around, he would realize that where he stands now is just out of frame of where the VHS was. What does Shaun decide?
I think this all comes down to that role I did at the beginning. It's so real in his head. It's so real, and he plays it over and over. And I think Shaun probably loses himself for probably the first time ever to the more bestial side of himself. And he feels like he's being recorded. He sets, like, he imagines setting up a VHS recorder, this big chunky thing, and he flips the side thing, twists it round so he can see, angles it, presses record. You can hear the thing whirring. and wearily he stumbles over to Father and he whispers in his ear, "The Thin Bloods war is better than both of us." And he eats Father.
And he commits the act?
Yeah.
Let's do the roll. As Father's arms go limp and fall to his side as the body slowly decays, becoming paler, frailer, and beginning to whisk away into dust, we watch the rope around Father's neck grow a deeper crimson red. And as his neck gives way and bone turns to ash, Shaun's hand catches the rope before it touches the ground, now a dark crimson. He lifts himself and stands tall, and places the rope gently around his neck. We'll see you next week, everybody. Goodbye.
Oh, hi, mortals. It's me, Vera Volkov, here to ask you for a little favor. As you may know, the club is currently under renovations, and we could use all the resources to get back on our feet. You can help us by either joining our Patreon or visiting tpublic.com and getting your grubby little fingers on a custom Drac Pack t-shirt. Well, what are you waiting for?